let's understand abstraction and encapsulation with real world example. So we have a user requirement. The requirement is create a service which can send an email. The below field should be configurable to address subject and body. So if we see at very high level what is requested by the user, so send an email. So in order to fulfill this requirement, what I did here, I have created one abstract class mail base, and within that we have one abstract method send, and I'm inheriting this mail base class in this mail service class. Within that we have these 5 private variable. So from address and password, these are predefined, and is valid, mails message and SMTP client we are setting it with the help of this helper method. If you are able to see here, validate, set a mail message and set SMTP client. So, and apart from this we have one more section. Within that we have to address subject and body which is requested by the user, and we have one more send method. Within that we are sending email, and finally we have a client. So what client does here, so we are creating instance of this derived class, and we are configuring this to address subject and body, and we are validating firstly, and post that setting mail message and setting SMTP client, and finally we are calling mail service.send and mail got sent, and we get the response, and finally we are printing it. So let's see how our program is working. So we are sending email to rdgentech@gmail.com. So this is the Gmail of rdgentech@gmail.com. So till now there is no message. So let's see. So I'm putting a breakpoint over here and one over here. So let's start and run it. So validate got called. So I'm just setting it to true. No logic as of now, and setting the mail message from to address subject and body, and the mail message is HTML or not. I'm setting it to true as of now, and setting the SMTP client in the variable which is declared within the class. Now finally calling the send method. So the value of its validity is true, and finally sending it. Its sent mail is true now, and continue. So if you see here, the each email sent is true, and if we see here, let me click over here. Yeah, the email has been received, and hello rdgentech. So if I summarize here, the requirement is whatever is requested by the user, I'm able to fulfill. But if I watch it closely, what is requested by the user? User requested, I just want to configure all these 3 fields, and I want to send one email. But if you see closely, validate, set mail message and set SMTP client, this is not requested by the user. So it should not be accessible to the user. Give to the user only what is requested by the user. The user is not caring about what you are doing internally. So we should not provide all this information to the end user. So in order to avoid it, we should not expose all this helper method to the end user. So what I can do here, we should make it private, because this is not requested by the user. So we should not expose all those helper method to the client. So instead of that, what I can do, we can remove it from here, and when we are calling this send method, within that we can call. So if you see closely, the code looks a bit cleaner and manageable. So if we see it very high level, is abstraction is exist? The answer is yes. Why? If we see this user requirement, what is requested by the user? One send method, and to address subject and body should be configurable. So we have provided the same. To address subject and body is configurable, and we provided one send method. Right? The abstraction is exist. And what I did In order to implement that, we just hide the complexity with the help of this access modifier private, and all this helper method is not accessible to the end user. So give whatever is requested by the user. So abstraction is exists. Is encapsulation is exists? The answer is yes. All this method with the help of access modifier private, we encapsulated all this method within the class, and they are accessible within the class only. So I can say encapsulation is also exists, and with the help of encapsulation I am able to achieve this abstraction. Is this mail service class is fully encapsulated? The answer is no. What is the reason? The reason is to address subject and body. The end user is accessing it directly. So because of that reason, this is not fully encapsulated. So in order to make it fully encapsulated, what I have to do? I have to set to address subject and body should be accessible through the getter and setter only. Only in that case it will be fully encapsulated. So what is the advantage of getter and setter? So suppose I have one requirement. If to address contain underscore, then replace it with @ and then post that you should set it. So if you see here, I cannot achieve it as of now. If you want to achieve that, the encapsulation will help. If post adding getter and setter, it's a bit easy. Let's add a getter and setter for this to address subject and body. So now if you see, to address is accessible through the getter and setter, subject and body also. The requirement is if the address is contain underscore, then change it to replace it with @ and then set it. So how I can achieve that? To address, so what I need to do, once this contains @ I have to replace underscore with @. So that's it. So now I have just changed it to underscore. Let's run this program. So if you see here, the origin tag underscore gmail.com, and to address value is null. So now it's changed to origin tag @gmail.com. So if you see here, the mail got sent to origin.com. So if you see here, we have received this origin.com received the email. So now I can say the class is having the abstraction as well as fully encapsulated. Now, because all the private members, they are not directly access to the end user. They can only access through this getter and setter only. And the advantage is like we can add over here any validation. And what value will be set to the address? This is managed by this class. So that's why I am saying like now the class has full control. What value will be set into address? It will be decided by this mail service.